Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And a very good morning to Dr. Fatimah and happy Eid Adha as I'm presenting and recording this video in the morning of Eid Adha. So I'm going to present about the alienation theory under Karl Marx by Karl Marx. And I'm going to cover one of the components, which is the productive activity. So let's start. I'm going to share with you my screen. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yes. My name is Haswani Ishak with metric number 1610370. So what is alienation? For Karl Marx, alienation under the capitalist mode of production is not just a subjective state of mind that one enters, but an objective process that develops from the reality that we experience through labor in a capitalist society. Alienation in a generalized abstract sense is a loss of control over an attribute of the self, one in which the actor is separated from any sense of agency in relation to the attributes. It is a historical objective process that comes into being from the relations and forces of productions in the specific mode of production in existence. Alienation derived from a disconnect and loss of control over a thing of process, similar to the sense of alienation that one experiences through religion. This kind of alienation that Marx refers to come into being through relations of productions found in the capitalist society, which is today's world also. Within the capitalist mode of productions, I could say that we find the conditions necessary for alienation to emerge. Those conditions are the reality that workers in capitalist society are forced by the necessity of subsistence and lack of ownership over the means of production to sell their labor power as a commodity to someone else who is the capitalist. So vital to the emergence of capitalism, alienation is the specialization of labor, that's first. Second is the reserve of army of labor. And the third is the establishment of routine work flows like an assembly line, that which I'm going to talk at the last slides. So basically, there are four components of alienation, as you can see on my slide. First is productive activity. Second is the products of their labor. Third is alienation of man from man, or else we could say that from the fellow co-workers. And the fourth is human potential. And basically, they might be viewed as being nested together with one leading to the other. However, they are just aspects of one reality, which is alienation of labor. So next slide is the productive activity. So basically, the productive activity, alienation of productive activity is their lack of control over the labor process or production activity. This kind of alienation occurs because to not have control over the products of labor implies that one also do not have control over the process of productions that produce the commodities. This kind of alienation is emerged from the lack of control over the means of productions and the work activity that one is involved in. The fact that workers do not have a say is in how production is organized and what is produced or how something is produced is how these aspects of alienation come into being, come into realizations. So this signs of alienation is further reinforced through a workers' lack of control in their jobs functions and from the lack of say in the relations within the productions. It is also from the reality that workers do not own the means of productions and so are forced to sell for the survivals that one thing they do own there, which is labor power. And on my slides, I'm attaching one of the picture, and as the biggest one is actually a picture of the capitalist controlling the workers by their instructions and regulations. So basically, if I'm putting myself in this kind of situation, I could say that I lose control over my life activity. Not only do I lose control over the thing that I produce, I lose control over the activity of producing it. My activity is not self-aspirations, and my activity has no relation to my desires about what I want to do, no relation with the way I might choose to express myself, and no relation with the person I am or might try to become. The only relation that the activity has with me is that it is a way of filling my belly and keeping a roof over my head. So my life activities is not a life activity. It is merely the means of self-preservation and survival. And that's how it was the capitalist society. It is not self-expression, but self-preservation for me to keep survive. So how this alienation is connected to contemporary issues? I could say that my life activity also means that my life activity is directed by another. They decide what and how long with whom I am going to act. Or perhaps somebody else also decides what will be done with my product. my life activity becomes the activity of another. And in the contemporary issues, I would like to choose corporate setting as my group mates choosing this setting. So this concept of corporate setting is actually is playing into this world. It is like we are we have invisible consensus between employers and employees where we are agreeing to that kind of wages in return that mentioned by in the book of Ritzer in 1986, page 57. Karl Marx says that it is kind of in return of our labor power, and we are being paid with some kind of wages by the employers. So we have to give profit to them, and we are going to use that wages to stay alive and keep survive. However, we are being alienated from that kind of activity. For instance, in the multinational companies, there are so many departments, okay? And I'm taking one of the department, administration. Even in the administration, we have different people are going to do that work differently. For instance, that one person is doing keying data, one person is doing auditing the data, perhaps one or another, they do not know what exactly that kind of activity is contributed to. At the end of the day, their activity is being paid by the wages from the employers. So that's how it works. And I'm teaching three screenshots. The first is the research made by HR Dive in 2019, where the poor work-life balance happening due to the demands by the unrealistic professional demands. They are doing that kind of activity. However, it interrupts the life activity of a person or workers. And I'm also attaching that to screenshots from the Twitter, Malaysia 2020 poverty line, and perhaps most of the fresh graduates being paid below 2,000 ringgit. However, these fresh graduates seems to agree because of they have no choice or even word to say, just like I mentioned before. So they are doing that kind of activity instructed by the employers and set by the companies. However, that activity is being alienated due to different sections. See, the alienation is actually related to one another in the components of alienation. So they are not doing they are not knowing what kind of activity that they are doing, and they are being alienated because of it. So this is how it works in today's world. Even though it is non-corporate setting, it still exists because of alienation of activity. Is due to we are not going to know what kind of activity contribute to that product, but we are doing that for the sake of self-preservation. That's all from me. Thank you, Dr. Fatimah. I hope you enjoy this presentation. I hope that I have related it, the alienation productive activity to the concept of contemporary setting in which the multinational setting or corporate setting in the line of offices or perhaps departments in the company. So that's all from me. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum.